Hello everyone, welcome to this session. This is the second lecture of unit number 3, bending and shear stresses. The topic is moment of inertia of various sections and theory of simple bending. In the previous video lecture, we have studied the introduction of the bending stresses, and also we have studied that various terms which we are going to use in the bending stresses and shear stresses. Also, we have studied that bending moment and the shear forces, how that it is developed into the beam whenever there is external forces and external loadings are applied. And to counteract this bending moment and the shear forces, there are internal stresses are developed within the beam. That stresses we have to determine in the form of bending stresses. So let us start to this video lecture starting from the moment of inertia, because in the coming video lectures or to solving the problems we need the moment of inertia for various sections. Already we know that there are different types of the sections, like a square section, rectangular section, triangular section, circular section, and also that hollow sections are also there. So we will see that the moment of inertia for all these sections. Let us start to this first slide, that moment of inertia of various solid sections. So in this figure you can see that in the first column that shape of the figure, in the first column there is the name of the figure, second is the shape, and third is the moment of inertia, that is I. It is symbolically represent, it is the formula is given. So basically these are the two-dimensional shape is there, which has two axes. One is the x-x axis and another is a y-y axis. So moment of inertia is changes to the axis to axis. So very first is rectangular. You can see the rectangular shape is there. The center of gravity CG is there. With this, the axes are passing on intersect that point. It is called as the center of gravity. B, small b is the breadth, small d is the depth of the shape, and moment of inertia about x-x axis can be determined by using these dimensions, and this can be determined by BD cube by 12. So you remember all these formulas for because that we need to while solving the problem. So Ixx, so moment of inertia about x-x axis is BD cube by 12. Moment of inertia about y-y axis, that is Iyy, is dB cube. So here you have to take an opposite dimensions. Firstly we have taken BD cube, and second YY we have taken dB cube. So you have to remember, because that dimensions are changes when the axes are changes. And this, suppose if you want to finding out at the edges of the shape, so moment of inertia at the edges means ICD is equal to BD cube by 3. Second figure is a triangular figure. The CG is there, total height is h. So various axes are shown, x-axis, and various lines, or we can say the various edges, the moment of inertia are in front of you. So that you have to just remember, Ixx is equal to bh cube by 4, and this Ix dash x dash at the apex, this x-axis is passing, that it is determined, and that one axis is passing through the CG, and that Ixx can be determined bh cube by 36. Likewise, the circular cross section, that x-x direction and y-y axis are passing through the CG, and capital D is the diameter of this circular cross section. And in this case, the moment of inertia in both the axes are same, and that value is pi by 64 into d raised to 4. So pi by 64 into d raised to 4. If the section is semicircle, at that time the moment of inertia about x-x axis is 0.11 r raised to 4, and in the y-y axis pi by 8 r raised to 4. So like that, other quadrant shape is also there, and that values of moment of inertia are shown here. After that, the moment of inertia for hollow sections. Hollow sections, you can see the figure of hollow section. This is a hollow of rectangular section and this is a hollow circular section. Means solid sections are different and hollow sections are different. In the solid there is only one dimension, but in the hollow there are internal dimensions as well as the external dimensions. So you can see that first of all the rectangular, already we have seen that breadth and depth are there, means two dimension, and moment of inertia bd cube by 12. And if you want to take the y axis, then opposite dimensions, that db cube by 12. And this is a hollow section. You can see there the depth is there, it is external depth, and there is also internal depth is there, d1. There is a external breadth and internal breadth is b1. So like that there are two dimensions in each sides, and the moment of inertia can be determined by bd cube by 12 minus b1 d1 cube by 12. So external dimension minus internal dimension. Like that in the y axis, the external dimension, that db cube by 10 minus internal dimension d1 b1 cube by 12. So like a circular section here, already we seen circular section, the moment of inertia, it is same in both of these axes, but in the hollow section, that ixx is equal to iyy is equal to I, but in the y axis, iyy is pi by 64 d raised to 4 minus d raised to 4. So ixx is equal to iyy in the hollow section also, but instead of the one diameter there are two external as well as internal diameters are considered, and the moment of inertia becomes pi by 64 d raised to 4 minus d raised to 4, that is external diameter and internal diameter. After that, after this moment of inertia, you just try to remember all these moment of inertia, because that will be used in the problems or numerical. Again, next very important topic in this unit, that theory of simple bending, or it is also called as a pure bending. So let us try to understand that basic concept of the simple bending and pure bending. So as we have studied earlier, the method of estimating the bending moment and shear forces in the unit number 1 for various sections of the beam. So in that we have studied that simply supported, cantilever beam, overhanging beam, continuous beam. Like this, we have studied the methods and we have already drawn the CSFD and BMD for various sections of the beam. Bending moment at a section, the work of the bending moments, or the bending moment tends or bend the section or deflect the beam, and because of the deflection or because of the bending there are stresses are developed. That stresses are internal stresses which are resisting this bending. So whenever there is a bending moment is there, it try to tends the beam in bending or bends, and at the same time there are stresses are developed into the each fiber of the beam, and that stresses resist whatever the bending is happened or it is applied. And this process of bending stops when every cross section, when the process of the bending stops when whatever the bending is it is happened, and whatever the full resistance is offered to the offered bending or applied bending onto this beam. So whenever this is happen, when the full resistance is offered to this bending moment, at that time, in that case there is a bending moment stops or bending moment is nil or zero. So that process of bending stops when every cross section set up full resistance to the bending moment. So means whatever the bending moment is applied and whatever the internal stresses are developed in opposite direction, so that it is called as a full resistance to this bending moment, and that full resistance, because of this full resistance, that bending moment stops or nil. The resistance offered by internal stresses to the bending is called as the bending stresses. Means whenever there is a bending moment is created or it is applied, at that time there are stresses are also developed. That stresses are internal stresses to the bending, and that stresses are called as the bending stresses. Whenever there is a loadings are applied, external loadings, whenever there is a bending moment is there on the beam, and at that time that bending moment try to bend the beam, and at the same time there are stresses are developed into the each fiber of the beam, and that stresses are developed, it is called as the bending stresses in a simple word. So you just remember this definition: when the load is applied, at that time bending moments are created, and because of this bending moment the beam is bent, or deflect. At the same time, there are stresses are developed into the beam in each fiber, and that stresses are called as bending stresses. I think you got this definition. And what are the relevant theories there of this resistance offered by the beam or the bending stress? That relevant theory is called as the theory of simple bending. Understood? Getting this? Next, to understand more, you can see this. Every cross section of a certain portion of beam is subjected to only bending moment and no other forces, that is shear or axial. Means the every cross section of the beam is subjected to only bending moment. Means this is a, you can see this is a beam, it is a simply supported beam, and there are two concentrated loads are applied, and in this sections of the beam there is a one portion is there which has only bending moment. Means after drawing of this SFD, you know that for this particular the bending moment is drawn and the shear force diagram is also drawn, but you can see there is a one portion is there which has a zero shear force. So you can see there is a horizontal line. Here it is, there is a shear force, I mean there is up and downs are there above or below. It's a positive shear force and this is a negative shear force, but this portion is there which has a no shear force or zero shear force. At that time there is only bending moment is exist. So this particular bending moment, it is same to this particular portion, means there is no up and down, there is a straight, there is a same bending moment is there, and that bending moment it is called as a pure bending. So I think you understand that it is there. So every cross section of a certain portion of beam is subjected to only bending moment and no other forces are applied, and means there is a no shear or axial force, and the value of bending moment at same is every cross section is same. So you can see this, that there is a no shear force, there is a no loadings are applied, zero shear force, and there is a bending moment is exist only, it is called as a pure bending. So there is only one, and only bending moment is there, there is no other shear forces, and that value of bending moment is same to this particular portion. I think you understand that pure bending and the bending stresses. Bending stresses means because of this bending moment, beam is tends to bend or deflect, and at the same time there are stresses are developed, internal stresses. That internal stresses are called as the bending stresses, and this is the, and the relevant theory is called as a simple bending. Pure bending means in that region or that portion of that beam there is a no shear or there is a no axial stresses are there or axial forces are there. There is, in that case, in that region there is only bending moment is exist which is same in magnitude. That bending moment it is called as the pure bending. After that, assumptions in the bending moment, because while solving the problem in the bending stresses or in the simple bending, so we need to consider or assume some of the assumptions in a simple bending. That we'll see. That first is the beam is initially straight and unstressed. So initially the beam is straight, there is no bending, there is no deflection, and it is unstressed, there is just no stresses are developed. Once we applied the loads onto the beam, then and then the stresses are developed, that you remember. The material of the beam is perfectly homogeneous, means the same kind of a material throughout the beam, that it is called as homogeneous. And isotropic means there are equal properties are there, equal elastic properties in all the directions, all the three directions, that is x direction, y direction, z direction. Elastic properties are same, that is called as isotropic. And homogeneous means same kind of material or same material in the throughout the beam. Second, the beam material stress within elastic limit only. So that again, this is a very important assumption, that beam material is stress only within elastic. That limit is, that is behavior we have seen in the steel, the stress strain diagram in the unit number first. So that is limit of proportionality or elastic limit. So but here the beam is stress only elastic limit, means in the elastic limit the only Hooke's law is obeys or it is applicable. Next, Young's modulus for the material is same in the tension as well as in the compression. Means whatever the modulus of elasticity for the material is same in tension as well as in compression. That is one of the assumption. It will not vary in the tension and in the compression. It is same. in tension as well as in the compression. Next, transverse section, which we are plane before bending remains plane after bending. So whatever the section is there, beam cross section, that cross section or that plane of that cross section is same before bending as well as after bending. So after application of the load, that section is remains plane, and before application of the load also that it is remains plane. So that it is mean that the plane before bending remains plane after bending. That is also one of the assumption. It will not deflect or it will not change its shape. Every cross section of the beam is symmetrical about the plane of bending. Means every cross section of the beam is symmetrical, means it is in a same shape, same dimension about the plane of bending, means about an axis perpendicular to the neutral axis. Each layer of the beam is free to expand or contract independently above or below the layers. Means whenever you take the any layer of the beam, it is free to move or free to expand or contract. There is a contraction and there is expansion is happened whenever the load is applied onto the beam. At that time it is free to expand or contract independently, which is above the layer or below the layer of the beam. So that is also one of the assumption. And one more assumption is there, beam is in equilibrium. Means there is a no resultant pull or push in the beam section. Means whenever you take the any section of the beam, at that time the resultant is zero. Means whenever the resultant is zero, at that time the beam is in equilibrium. Because for example, we are using the equilibrium condition, summation fx is equal to 0, summation fy is equal to 0, summation moment is equal to 0. At that time why we are taken 0? Because all the algebraic sum of all the forces or all the moment, that summation is equal to 0. Means ultimately at the resultant, at the end, there is a no magnitude, that whatever the forces are there, it is ultimately becoming 0. Means that beam is in equilibrium. That's why here one statement is there, there is a no resultant pull or push, means either stress, tension or either compression in the beam section. So that's why that pulling force or pushing force are 0. Means this beam is in equilibrium. Also this very important assumptions, you try to remember this, all these assumptions, because we have to remember or we have to use these assumptions while solving the problems. Next, neutral layer and neutral axis. A layer which does not change its original length even after bending. Means this is a beam, you can see this is a beam longitudinal section, and this is a transverse section of the beam. When the load is applied, at that time there is a beam is bent. This beam is bent, and after bending also, whatever the layer, that layer which does not undergo into the compression or into the tension, because all other layers are, some of the layers are going into the compression, some of the layers are going into the tension, but one layer is there which does not go into the compression or into the tension after bending. That layer, or which as same to this original length after bending also, that layer it is called as a neutral layer. So that's why the layer which does not change its original length, original length before the bending or after bending also, that length is same. That length, you can see this is the center line, or this line shows that neutral layer of this beam which does not change the original length after bending also. Or in other way, the line of intersection of neutral layer with any normal section of the beam. Line of intersection of the neutral layer with, if you take the any normal section, whatever the intersection of the with the normal layer, that it is called as a neutral axis or that neutral layer. Note these bending stresses are always 0 at the neutral layer. Means very simple, that on this particular neutral layer the stresses are 0. There are above the neutral layer, there are stresses are there which may be compressive stresses, and below of this neutral layer it may be a tensile stresses. So but on this particular center or this layer, there is a no stresses are exist. Means there is a 0 stresses are there onto this layer. So in this below figure you can see this is the beam before the bending, and after bending, after application of the load, this beam is bent or deflect, and this you can see this neutral layer, and this is a neutral layer of this before bending, and the stresses are developed. This is a normal neutral axis, you can see this is a transverse section and this is the longitudinal section. In the longitudinal section, this is a neutral layer and neutral axis in the transverse edge, you can see that neutral axis on the transverse section. So I think you understood this. Neutral layer means what? Which does not undergo any stresses. There is a zero bending stresses, and there is original length is same after bending also. That are the few important key points of this neutral layer. And the neutral axis, you can see NA, that symbolically it is represented by NA, neutral axis of this transverse section and the neutral layer. I think you understood this particular concept of this simple bending stresses and neutral layers. Thank you very much.